Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our panel of speakers from Sysco Labs, Sri Lanka on stage.
Let's just give it a couple more minutes for everyone else to walk in. All right. So my name's Nishanta Hettiarachchi, and I work as the Director of Engineering and Architecture for Sysco Labs. Myself and my colleagues over here, Yasinda, Purnima, Ashan, Imal, and Pasindu, will be talking to you about how we bring in AI ML into large-scale enterprises such like Sysco Labs or Cisco. All right? Can we quickly do a pulse check? How many of you guys are in university still or studying? Yeah, let's see. It's about 90% or everyone. Right, so we'll kind of talk to you guys. So that this makes a little bit more sense. Right, so let me quickly give you an introduction to what Cisco is and what Sysco Labs is all about. So Cisco is the world's largest food service company. We are ranked number 54 in the Fortune 100. We make close to $70 billion in FY23. And over 70,000 colleagues where we distribute food across 90 countries. So Sysco Labs is the technology partner. We are part of Cisco. We've got close to 1,000 engineering folks working out of Sri Lanka. And we are the people who kind of keep and build about 600 different disparate systems and how we kind of build the tech for Cisco. So some of you guys must be really new to what is food service, right? So think about us as a logistics and a warehousing company, where what we do is we buy food from our suppliers, put it into our warehouses, and distribute it across the globe, right? So in our previous sections, we talked about AI, we talked about the tech. But we want to share some of our findings, like the first point over here, right? Overcoming some of the challenges when driving AI ML in large-scale enterprises, right? So doing it at a POC, at a university level, at an R&D level is one. But how, when you bring it into an enterprise, what do you need to watch out for? We've also built accelerators for this journey. So Pasindu is going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about how the collaboration with Google came into play, right? And we're then going to talk to you about, we'll show you some use cases that we have actually built with some demos in terms of process automation, supply chain, e-commerce. And we've got this really magical flask. When you kind of rub it, a genie comes out, and you get 3 wishes. So for folks who ask questions after the session, you might walk away with that and be really lucky, right? So keep your eyes and ears open for stuff. So Cisco was using AI in our e-commerce platforms. We were using predictive, we used to kind of predict user purchases and doing product suggestions and all of that. And then this whole LLMs came into play, enormous amount of computing power, and this AI boom happened. So Cisco also wanted to kind of help these technologies to drive our businesses. So these are some of the things. I want to share 6 lessons with all of you guys. you will graduate, start working in various corporations, and you're going to work with global products, right? And these lessons are things that you can carry forward and learn and help build, right? So the first thing over here was even security, right? When we brought in AI ML into this, ChatGPT was there, OpenAI. We've got close to 70,000 employees, right? And our data is extremely important to us. What if this data went to one of these open platforms? So that was the first thing that we had to do before doing AI, educate all of our colleagues, put in practices so that there are no data leakages into these platforms. So security comes first. You might not think about it when you're building university applications or when you're trying something out, but this has to come in first when you build applications at the level of Cisco, right? The second lesson is you'll find that take, for instance, image generation, right? Text generation. You have dozens of different tools doing the same thing. Some of it is enterprise ready, it's safe, some of them are not. So what we had to do was define a tech stack for our company and say, this is what's safe, let's use that only. The third thing is, most of us as techies want to kind of put the tech in front, right? We think tech first, we think AI first. But corporations, like, they run businesses to make money, right? So we identified close to 100 use cases for Cisco, and then we prioritize based on what's the what do we get as return on investment and the ease of use. So when you're doing any sort of projects, think about the business value that you're bringing in, right? Even in one of the previous sessions on the Helakuru, right? There's a lot of conversations about using tech to build business value. And put that first, think about it extensively before you go and put the tech in there, right? The fourth thing is, who will build this? Do we go and hire 150 data scientists because this is AI ML? But what platforms like and companies like Google have done is, you don't need to know the heavy math and statistics to work with AI anymore. AI is very accessible with platforms such as Vertex and all of that coming in. So your everyday users have to be able to do this. So any sort of software engineers budding, you've got to get this into your tool, to your armory as well. AI is a must for all of you guys. So we have a program where all of our engineers are being trained on AI ML as well, where they can build these solutions. Then this concept of being lean is another thing. So there's a lot of marketing hype. It's important that we test our solutions very early and move on, right? And fail fast if we have to. And the next one is about, at enterprises at our scale, you have a lot of people trying to do the same thing. And Pasindu is going to talk about how we build some reusable stuff over there. So over to you, Pasindu.
Thanks, Nishanta. Hi, guys. I'm Pasindu. I work as a tech lead at Cisco, leading some of these AI/ML developments. So today, we are going to share sort of our journey and the strategies that we've implemented to drive AI/ML initiatives at scale for Cisco. So when this entire Gen AI boom came about, we had a lot of requirements coming in from different business stakeholders where they wanted to implement a lot of different solutions for different parts of our operation. So as the development team, we had to make sure that we stay very focused to continue to create value for our organization. So there were some strategies or certain things that we learned and implemented in order to make sure that we build scalable and robust solutions. So the first thing that we learned from this entire thing, I know like AI has been like one of the biggest deals, like everyone is talking about it. But when we actually got into this, something that we realized is that AI is only a part of the solution. So if you think about like a early stage startup or like a very new company, they have the luxury of sort of building the AI models first and then building the entire operation around it. But for companies like ours, we have about 600 plus applications, which makes the entire operation possible for us. But even for like a small organization which has 2 or 3 applications, or maybe like some processes in place, we have to make sure that whatever the AI/ML models that we build seamlessly integrates into our ecosystem. So one thing that we always did, as you can see on the screen, is whatever the application that came to us, whatever the application that we built, we made sure, however how big or small it was, that we properly understand all the touch points this application or the model will interact with. And with this, we created some sort of like architectures where you understand how this model would work, which systems would it talk to, which APIs it has to call, right? So all that, we sort of got the idea very early, which helped us understand whether this solution is going to fly or not. So with this, we sort of were able to build AI applications which were not just innovative, or as our CTO says, toys, but we were able to build applications which actually brings practical value for our organization. The second most important thing that we got from this journey, I know you guys all must know this, the AI/ML space right now is extremely volatile. Things keep on changing really fast, new things come the next day. Maybe if you go on to LinkedIn, you always see something new that is being launched. So we wanted to make sure that we addressed it at a very early stage. So something that we did here was that we built like a orchestration layer, where for whatever the applications that we built, we didn't lock into a single model, but we built a layer where we can easily change the models when the new things come out. So whenever there's a new model coming out, we always had the latest and the greatest capabilities. And the third thing, as Nishant also mentioned, that we got into this game very early. So we started working with players like Google. They heavily invested on this. They're putting a lot of money into the R&D. So we started working them very early. We had discussions. We had brainstorming sessions with them. We gave them our requirements. And we looked at their capabilities as well. Then with that, we started building solutions leveraging Google's Vertex AI platform. So I think this was something that was discussed in the previous session as well about the Vertex AI platform. But just to set some context, Vertex AI is Google's sort of unified AI/ML ecosystem, which has a lot of use cases. So if you look at it, you can see stuff like ML ops pipelines, custom workflows to train your ML models, deploy your ML models, and even stuff like data science toolkits, no-code platforms, even APIs like the Vision API. But one of the most interesting, or one of the latest thing that was added into this ecosystem was the Vertex AI Studio, which is their Gen AI ecosystem, which again has like awesome capabilities. So they have like multi-model integrations, as we discussed in a couple of previous sessions. They have stuff like agent builders, where you don't have to do a lot of coding to build like a Gen AI agent that we discussed even in an earlier session, but you can simply, within a UI, you can do that configuration. And they even have stuff for developers, especially like prompt evaluations, vector searches, groundings, and all of that. But one of the coolest things that we saw in this platform was the user experience. I mean, when it comes to these platforms, usually when it comes to AI, it seems like it's very complicated, there's a lot to do. But when it comes to the Vertex AI platform, which Google launched, the user experience is really good. So you can simply go into the platform, just do some configurations. You have the code coming on the side. You just copy that code and put it in your application. It's that easy. So the integrations become so much easier and so much secure as well. And with this, we sort of, so now like we had the platform in place, we knew the use cases, we knew how to work. So we wanted to sort of accelerate or shift gears into another stage where we continue to develop more and more applications to build value. So here, something that we implemented was that now, Cisco being a global organization, we have developers all around the world. We have our colleagues working in different countries, in different projects, trying to implement AI/ML solutions into the application. So one thing that we wanted to do was, this awesome tech that we built in Sri Lanka by this team, we wanted to generalize it and make it enable for even our other colleagues to implement this quicker and faster. So there what we did was we started sort of building our very own Vertex AI software platform, which we call Cisco AI/ML Toolkit. So the advantage here is you sort of have the capabilities from platforms like Vertex AI and even the core AI/ML capabilities like clustering, centralized EDA and all that. Then you make it easier to plug it into the Cisco applications as well. So that's something that we built. And with this, we were able to accelerate and take our developments into another level. So maybe if I just take one example here. So if you see something like centralized prompt management, so you guys all know, right, for generative AI applications, one thing that we do is we write the prompts. But what we have done here is, since like in Cisco, we have hundreds of applications which uses generative AI, we build a platform where you can manage the prompts from a centralized location with an intuitive UI as well. Now, the cool thing here is, now initially when it comes to prompt engineering, it's always the developers who gets to go and do it. But now with this UI, we bring in our business folks also into the picture. Because they are the ones who has the domain knowledge, right? Like when it comes to certain business operations, there are people who knows or understands the operation. But when it comes to prompting, it's always developers who gets to do it. But we wanted to bridge that gap where we brought this UI, and now people like the business managers or like product owners, they can also come and implement these prompts and sort of get the best out of it. And another thing is now, I know you guys, some of you guys might have heard of this. When it comes to prompting, it's also like, it's sort of like an art. There are stuff called prompting techniques, zero-shot prompting, few-shot prompting. There's something called chain of thought. There's like a lot of techniques. Then there are something called prompting frameworks as well. There's something called Ryzen, Trace, Tag, and all of that. So another thing that we did was, now for our developers, when they're building applications, we didn't want them to go and learn all these things from the beginning, but we brought it to the prompt management system where they can look at similar applications and see which one is the most suitable thing for their application as well. So like that, we have multiple components we build. We build RAG pipelines, React pipelines. We have stuff for generative AI observability and a lot of other areas as well. But I'm not going to talk about all this right now, because in the next segments, our team is going to run through some of the exciting use cases that we've built with these components. So with that, Nishant, back to you.
Yeah, so Purnima is going to start off on how we've brought some of our use cases in internal process automation, so things like chatbots and all of that. So Purnima is going to run you through some exciting demos as well.
Thank you, Nishant. So let's look at how we build like AI assistants in an enterprise ecosystem. So we basically can have like generalized AI assistants. Let me move on. Yeah. So we can basically have like generalized AI assistants where all of the employees within the organization uses, like for example, HR bots. And then we can have domain-specific AI assistants, like legal bots and supply chain bots that does a specific activity. So whatever bot that we develop, we have to factor in certain important factors when we are developing it for an enterprise ecosystem. Number one is security comes first. Because we deal with a large amount of proprietary and confidential information, we have to make sure what goes into the knowledge base and what comes out of the bot is properly secured. The second thing is we have to make it scalable and flexible, because we are in a heavily dynamic environment, our business requirements change. So the outputs that we gain out of these AI assistants should also evolve. And the third thing is it should be standardized. And the fourth thing is, as always, money is important, so it should be cost optimized. So let's see how we've solutioned our AI bots to ensure that all of these factors are keyed in. So if you take a look at your leftmost corner, you can see something called centralized model configuration. So here, what we've done is we've decoupled all of the models configuration from our AI assistant application. So why we did this is, in a production level application, we can't have always code modifications and deployment changes. So what we do is we simply change our model configuration within this service, and it will get reflected on a production level application. So I'll give you an example. When we started developing one of our AI assistants, we were using Gemini 1 Pro. And then with our exclusive partnership with Google, they opened up Gemini 1.5 at preview model. So we had certain users using it, and we didn't want to do a deployment change at that instance. So what we did was we did a simple configuration change, and it worked, and we got the better results. The second thing is, as Pasindu mentioned, this centralized prompt management. So we don't have all of the prompts within the application itself. The reason being, again, as I said, we are in evolving business. Our business requirements change. Our prompts need to change as well. So how we do it is we have like predefined prompt templates out of like industry standard frameworks. It can be Ryzen, RSCF, React, whatever you want. And then what you do is the user can define their prompts, and then they can version control their prompts. So based on the output that they get, they can improve, keep on improving their prompts. So there's continuous improvement. But in case you want to go back to one of your older prompts, you can simply do that by changing your versions. The next thing is we've introduced the smart question and answering bots. So for like generalized bots, like HR bots, like where question and answering comes in, we have to ensure that all of the answers are fact-driven. So we've used the RAG framework, that is retrieval augmented generation, where we don't allow hallucinations to happen within our AI assistants. We give the specific knowledge base. Excuse me. So how it happens is, if you go to your right-hand side, you can see something called the product and related documents. So what we do is we upload it, and then it will go through one of our inbuilt sensitivity redaction services, which uses GCP's Cloud DLP service. So we redact it for any sensitive information, and we chunk this document, and once we chunk this document, we save these documents in a vector store. So once the document chunks are saved in a vector store, what we do is when a query comes in, we take the context and we do a semantic search, and then we get the best result. So in this way, we give only answers out of the knowledge base that we give, so it's fact-driven. So let's look at how all of this works in one of our demos, in one of our AI assistants that we've built.
Meet Alfred, your AI-powered co-pilot that analyzes images, text, and documents, providing instant insights and answers. Explore Alfred's Smart Q&A, where Alfred uses RAG to answer queries based on a pre-populated knowledge base. RAG ensures Alfred doesn't hallucinate and answers specifically from the provided documents and information. The documents are uploaded to an inbuilt sensitivity data redaction service using GCP DLP. Managers can view the original and redacted versions side by side, allowing them to approve or reject documents based on their discretion. Let's explore Alfred's smart roadmap analysis. Upload a roadmap image and Alfred analyzes it for standard Agile criteria, providing yes or no answers with detailed explanations and an overall summary on Agile compliance. With our centralized prompt management, we seamlessly switch versions to update prompts instantly. Based on the updated prompt, Alfred's answers will reflect the changes in real time. Our centralized prompt management service lets users create prompts specific to an AI service by selecting a prompt template based on industry standard frameworks. All prompts are version controlled, allowing users to switch back to older versions effortlessly. Our model-agnostic orchestration layer allows seamless model switching without code changes or production deployments, ensuring flexibility and uptime.
Yeah, so that's about it, how our bots work. So I'll hand it over to Nishan.
So it's going to be Imal who's going to talk about intelligent document processing. Over to you, Imal.
Thank you, Nishanta. Hey guys, I'm Imal. I work as a senior engineer at Cisco, and I'll be walking you through our intelligent document processing platform that we built using Document AI. So what you see here is a quick overview of our platform. So Cisco as a company receives over 100,000 purchase orders a month. And if you don't know what a purchase order is, you can kind of think of it like an invoice, but generated on the customer's end. So we ingest these documents through multiple sources. So that's what you see on your left. We ingest purchase orders using emails or other robotic process automation systems. Now, the key challenge we face here is since these purchase orders are generated by the customers, there is a diversity in layout, in language, and the terminology used. So we needed a solution that went beyond traditional OCR. So the reason I say this is because one customer could have a document that represents the purchase order number as PO number, and another customer could have a document that represents the purchase order number as order number. So we need to go beyond traditional OCR, because otherwise you'll end up writing custom logic for each of these variations. So that is why we pass the document onto a fine-tuned model of document AI for data extraction. And what document AI does is it combines traditional OCR with the generative AI capabilities of Google's large language models. So what this does is it extracts the data, but it's also able to interpret that data and map it to a standard set of fields. So this eliminates the need for you to write custom logic for each of your different documents. So we pass the document on to document AI, and the document AI will map it to a standard set of fields, and then we send it over to our human review platform for our validation, and then we run our own validation services on the data. Then we transform it into a format that can be ingested by our internal systems, or the RPA systems, or the data systems. And this is how we have sort of automated the flow for processing purchase orders. So hopefully, this quick demo will give you an idea of how you can adapt document AI for your own use cases. So let's take a look.
Let's say you have a set of purchase orders, and you want to extract the purchase order number, order date, item code, and quantity. Let's look at some sample purchase orders. In the PO to your left, the purchase order number is represented as order ID, while on the PO to your right, it's simply PO hashtag. Similarly, you will notice a difference in terminology for order date, item code, and quantity, with each PO using unique terms to represent them. With this in mind, we would create a schema in Document AI. A schema is like a blueprint for the standard set of fields you need extracted from a document. Now, let's submit a PO to Document AI for the extraction of our key fields according to the schema. As you can see, Doc AI has extracted the data and mapped them to a set of standardized fields as defined in our schema. This approach can work for multiple PO templates. As you can see, this is our second template. In spite of a different layout and different terminology used, Doc AI is intelligent enough to map the fields of interest to our predefined schema. This allows us to build highly robust and scalable data extraction solutions, such as the IDP platform.
So there you go, guys. Hopefully, you gain something that you can apply to your own document processing pipelines using Document AI. So we'll move on to the next component.
So up next, it's going to be on the warehousing side. Yacinda is going to start things off for us.
All right. Hi, guys. My name is Yacinda, and I'll be running you guys over a little bit about how our warehouse operations go by. So in Cisco, warehouses are basically the root of everything. So as you can expect, it's a very crucial layer. And we have over 300 of these scattered all across the world. So there is no one team that can monitor things like shrink, theft, productivity, and so on. So that's why we have this product called Vision 360. It's a unified platform where the warehouse monitors can, at first glance, understand exactly what's going right and what's going wrong and needs attention. So we've done this in a very simple way. We've shown in this diagram over here. So on the left, we have a bunch of cameras. So these are AI cameras. And in real time, we are going to take in whatever they see. And that goes into the first point of contact, which is the computer vision model layer. So to build this model, we use the AutoML service and most importantly, the model registry. So that's because this layer consists of a set of object detection, tracking, segmentation, and also post-estimation models. So as you can expect, we want to version them, we want to evaluate them, and also understand how they perform in the real world. So that's the computer vision model layer. Next to that, you can see this cool business insights layer. So it's important that we decouple these because we didn't want to tie a single model to a single business solution. So we just didn't want one model that does the shrink, one model which does the theft detection. We wanted to get an all-rounded insight. So that's why we have this computer vision model layer, which just emits a set of numbers. It's just a set of numbers and a set of confidence scores. And then the next layer, the business insights layer, will take in those set of numbers and derive a plethora of different business use cases. So with the same output, we can derive certain things like a normal activity detection, picking operation, or even just to check if a pallet jack is parked properly or not. So that's the key use of decoupling these two layers. And after that, we have the Cisco Vision 360 layer. This is what I said in the start. We just have a dashboard which tells the warehouse monitors exactly what needs attention and what we can just simply ignore because it's going well. So we want to show you guys the full product, but security reasons, we can't do that. But we have a small demo which will hopefully show the power of computer vision in Cisco.
This demonstration shows how computer vision can be used to perform real-time efficiency and safety monitoring. By decoupling the object detections with business logic, multiple use cases can be derived per real-time CCTV footages from Cisco warehouses. In this case, object detection and tracking is used to identify safety risks due to pallet jacks and forklifts being congested. Worker dwelling and congestion for long periods can also lead to efficiency drops within a warehouse. As the workers and vehicles move away from each other, the warehouse manager is alerted that there is no longer any congestion in aisle 3. In this demonstration, computer vision is used to identify workers from unauthorized people within aisles. The model detects the person below as a worker due to his close association with the forklift with ID number 1. The other people are classified as unauthorized as they are in aisles with no vehicles or equipment. The model is also able to pick up when people are holding unauthorized objects such as bags. As seen, the real-time alerts can then be shared with the warehouse managers for proactive measures.
All right, that's all from me. I'll pass it on back to Nishanta.
Yeah. So Ashan's up next to talk about forecasting.
All right, thanks Nishanta. So I'm Ashan Pidarshana, so I work as a technical lead at Cisco Labs. As Yasin also demonstrated, warehousing is a complex set of tasks that needs to be monitored very closely and efficiently. So another problem in warehousing is we need to know what our customers will order in the next couple of days. For an example, we need to know what will customer A order tomorrow and in which quantities. We need to know what will customer B order day after tomorrow and in which quantities. Like that, we need to know what will each customer order and in which quantities into couple of days future. So knowing answers to these questions is really important because based on those answers, we need to prepare our warehouse so that as the customers place these orders, we need to package those products and ship them quickly to the customer. So this helps us increasing the relationship with our customers. At Cisco, being the world's largest food service company, we are improving our existing solutions with the help of Google Vertex AI to predict what customers are going to order in the next couple of days exactly. And with that information, what we do is we prepare our warehouses in advance even before the customer places an order. So how do we do it? So as you can see, this is a high-level overview of how do we do it. So on the left-hand side, you can see that what kind of data we are using. So obviously, we are using past customer sales orders. Then we use past and future holidays. And also we use any world trends that might affect food industry. So what we do is we take these data, do the relevant pre-processing, and feed them into an ensemble of deep neural networks. So these deep neural networks are things like DeepAR, ARIMA, and many more recurrent neural networks. So we train these models, get the product-wise and the customer-based order quantities for the next couple of days. Then what do we do is that we take those results and use them to prepare our warehouse in advance for the next couple of days. To help with this preparation of the warehouse, we also develop another model using reinforcement learning techniques that assist us in choosing what tasks should the warehouse do at this right moment. So with this, we were able to build a complete solution that can predict the future and using those results, preparing our warehouses in advance. So in last thoughts, so this is a generative era, but there are business problems that we can use core AI principles to solve problems. So keep an eye on that also. Yes, thank you. Over to you, Nishant.
Thanks, Ashant. So we've got 5 minutes. We've got another use case, but we actually like to really hear a couple of questions from you guys. And you could win this for your first. So can we get a mic out for someone who's got a question for us? Oh. One question coming up. We're not giving the gift anymore.
So while he asks the question, so others also can think of the next questions. We have two more.
Yeah. So I have like 2 questions. Sure. One is just that whenever you start off with a data science solution, it's completely different to the way you maybe predict the timeline or how you do things for a software solution. Because when you start looking at the data, in real life, data is not as clean as we are used to. And then identifying which of this data is valuable enough to get the results we need, and then do the solution which we require, and eventually getting the level of accuracy that is required for this use case. Now, in your experience, in real life, how would you first evaluate the feasibility and then the effort of such solutions?
Okay, really great question. I'll have a crack at it and you guys go ahead as well. First thing is data, right? First thing is data. Let's just talk about from our own example, right? That computer vision solution. So the first thing that we had to get was the right level of data. And that was video feeds for us from our US warehouse. So access to data in enterprises, do you have access to data? Can you give that data out? Those are very big questions, right? So certain data, they'll say, no, developers, you cannot have it, right? So you have to just, when you're planning it out, you have to say, do you have access to that data, okay? Where are you going to get it? Then you have to actually we had to do data engineering to get it to the level that you want to. But you also then need to say your AI ML solutions are never going to sit alone. They have to get integrated into the various other systems. In our case, 600 different systems, right? You have to look at the touch points. You have to put time to that. How many touch points? All of that. And you've got to get started, right? Get started and don't expect it to be perfect. Get yourself a first cut. Some other things to look at is, does AI make sense? If it's just a little bit of data that you're working with. Recently we had a solution. We looked at an AI solution and said, hey, we work with about 300 particular documents. We don't need AI. So you have to have that scale as well. So those are the few things that you want to look out for. Anything else, guys, you want to add to it very quickly before we move?
Yeah, maybe just one more thing is that now, when it comes to scale that we're working with like 1 million products. We have about 700,000 customers. So one thing we try to do is now, Like when it comes to large organizations, when it comes to these initiatives, there's always going to be a bit of resistance because it's going to be unknown territory. So something that we do is whatever the solution we build, with whatever the data that we have, we try to push it out very fast. And then we sort of give it to the hands of the users. It could be business users, it could be customers, but then with their feedback, we try to iteratively develop it. So that way, it's not just developers doing the solution and putting it on the users, but everyone getting together and building something collaboratively. So that's what works for us. That's what gets the buy-in for us. So with that, it's so much easier to, like go through the timelines, make sure all the data is there, sort of get everyone into the same page.
Thanks. Great question.
Last one. So
Yeah.
in the RAG solution that was mentioned, when you take compliance documents, they have charts as well as images inbuilt. So when you do OCR, which is optimized for text, do these models still work for different kinds of media within those pages as well?
Yes, so it really depends on your data, but for our use case, due to with table or textual data, even data on images, document AI is able to extract that data. And it also depends on the quality of your documents. If it's very handwritten, if it's very unclear, there's a limit that AI can go to. But generally, we've seen it to be very generalizable.
Great question. Okay, we've got another question over there. We've got two questions. We should have stopped earlier. We love to hear from you guys.
I have a question regarding your data privacy and how you guys manage. You guys have like big clients, no? So you guys like have $1 billion clients, and so they have different kind of like you guys manage warehouses and stuff also. So, but the thing is, so on their warehouses they have sensitive items, right? So how do you guys detect those things? And like they tell that the client would say that you can't access these sections, but so on that, how do you guys do the correct math relevant in the data?
So we talk about AI, and sometimes we forget that AI has to be built based on a data ecosystem, right? So a lot of organizations have data governance policies. So when you say data governance, you have different levels of access to data. Certain things are like you get the CIA classified. No one's going to get that, right? So all of your data has to be classified at different levels. That's one way of doing it. Then you say only this sort of data that you can use. Then there are other things like I think Purnima showed about this, we did an HR bot. Yeah. When we showed that to our chief information officer, he said, you can't put this to production. We said, this is only like onboarding documents. But at enterprises, you have to have systems to do that. That's where we use redaction. So if you get redaction, Google has an API where when you send the document, it redacts all that information out for you. So it's important that we don't think about AI without thinking about data governance. So there are those data governance policies and all of that. So that is where it needs to come in.
And a small thing. So how do you guys like as Google as a third party from your side? So how do you guys send data? Like some clients like tell them don't send data to third parties. Just keep under your.
So like we said, for us, our data cannot be used by anyone to train their models. So if you look at a Google, all of their services are what you call enterprise ready. So enterprise ready means your data is safe. Your data cannot be used by anyone. So there are legal agreements. But if you put it to OpenAI, right, or that can be used. So that's why we pay and get stuff like that.
Thank you.
Great question again. We'll take one more and we'll be off.
Hi. So in one instance, you all had Alfred, the chatbot, right? And in that, you all use RAG, which is retrieval augmented regeneration. And apart from, so in that scenario, apart from gathering the data, using a data set, etc., what were the other difficulties or challenges that you all faced when you all were training the model?
Yeah, so are you just talking about the questioning answering feature using RAG or as?
Yes, it was that, yeah.
Yeah, so one thing, as Nishant mentioned, when we were using these documents, we can't use certain sensitive information. So initially, we had to find a way how we can put this sensitive information, but in a way it's secure. So that's where we found this Google's Cloud DLP service where it redacts and puts the document. The second thing is like when we get certain answers, we try to make the prompt as specific as it is to give specific answers, but there are certain instances where certain hallucinations were given. So we had to again prompt engineer to ensure that the answers were given out of the knowledge base that we create only. So those are certain things that we learned when we were doing the process.
Yeah, and just one more thing to add on to that. So when it comes to AI applications like whatever we spoke about, so like when it comes to our business users also, one thing that they expect is for us to hit at 100% like the first time. But it's always like an iterative approach because when it comes to AI, there's a lot of different parameters that could change. So what we do is, as we said earlier also, we get something out fast, then we keep on testing with like set of users. Then maybe there could be instances that RAG couldn't be able to sort of pick out some information. There could be instances we go back to the knowledge base and enhance that as well. So it's always like an iterative process. You maybe start at 60%, then you keep on improving up to maybe like 95%. But it might never be 100% as well. So like iterative process is what's most important. Get it to your users' hands first, get their feedback and see what they want and then improve it.
All right, guys, we're out of time and we're over time as well, but you guys were awesome. Thanks for all the questions and great job. And thanks for not being very Sri Lankan and not asking questions. Fabulous show, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Sysco Labs, for that wonderfully collaborative session on future-proofing enterprises with scalable and robust AI/ML solutions. And thank you for providing such a wonderful insight into the work you do. So on behalf of the entire team of Sysco Labs who are here in this event today, I'd like to invite Mr. Nishanta Hettiarachchi, the Director of Engineering and Architecture at Sysco Labs, to accept this small token of appreciation that we have made ready for you. And to present this token, I'd like to invite Ms. Nuvini Chamindi over to the front of the stage. Ms. Nuvini Chamindi is a GDG organizer here in Sri Lanka and a WTM ambassador.